Getting set up. Letting people know the stream is live. Just give me a minute. Always a little terrifying to have that 30 plus notifications on your on your feed. A little bit terrifying. How do you spell Pinterest? Pinterest. Let's get cooking. It is 11:19. As always, I'm Nick Filardi, your old pal. We're going to be sketching some interiors, as you can see from above my cam here. Before we get to that, let's put some music on. I encourage you to listen to your own music as well, because you won't be able to hear mine. Today, I'm listening to Steely Dan Can't Buy a Thrill album. A buddy of mine in another Discord was like, I can't get into Steely Dan. I muted them on Spotify, and I was like, you know what? Steely Dan kind of rips. So that's what we're listening to today. I saw somebody on like TikTok say that Steely Dan is grandpa music, which made me age 1,000 years. All right. Let's figure out what we're working on before we get started here. Okay, so I grabbed, this is like a new pin board for me. I grabbed it's like 28 pins on this board. Let's pick up one that looks a little easier. There's some with like people in them and some without people in them. My dog is bumping the mic stand. Let's pick something. I tried to pick ones that were like a little bit cluttered, maybe, too. Like, because trying to parse the, like, all the objects into, like, simpler shapes, I think is part of the challenge. Um, we'll grab one that's low on. This one is low on perspective, but has a couple of figures in there. I'm going to alter the crop pad on it. It disappeared. There it is. Sorry, I'm using a scroll wheel because I don't have access to my keypad here. We're gonna watch this slowly crop itself. Well, I might make these a little bigger too because I realized I'm not using all of my real estate here. There we go. Okay. So, why are interiors important? I've seen them kind of disappear from comics, it seems. Used to be a staple. You look at like 70s, 80s comics, and like they're people are always, always, always drawing interiors. Um, I think the rise of manga and social media kind of kept interiors from really kind of growing because you don't get a lot of clicks for interiors. You don't get a lot of likes. It's mostly figures and stuff like that. So um, that, and then people are reading manga and iterating on manga, and manga doesn't have a lot of interiors. And then you see people even go to the effort of putting interiors in, and they don't leave enough room for word balloons, and word balloons cover up the interiors. And it's like, why am I drawing this? I'll just draw the figures. We are where we are. However, I think that there is a really great thing about interiors, which is you can put like personality in them. Like Dr. Octavius's lab is going to look different than Peter Parker's lab. Dr. Octavius with his, octopus arms, uh, maybe has like a verticality to his office that Peter does not. And Peter's going to look a little more ramshackle. His like Octavius will be like a little more high tech. Um, Wolverine's room is going to look a lot different than like Jubilee's room in the X Mansion. And I feel like if you care about interiors, this stuff can be really fun, like add a lot of personality. Um, the problem is that not only that it does not get a lot of clicks, but also perspective is hard, and I feel like a lot of people will just not really be into it. It feels like math almost kind of thing. But like if we look at the picture that we're using today, which is a little off screen, we'll go like here. If we look at this, right? Um, we can kind of rough it out, and like there's a cheat code to a lot of interiors, and that cheat code is this, friends. It is ceiling, wall. This right here, like this will help you through like 99% of your interiors, because it'll be like low level perspective almost, and you can kind of like gesture this stuff in. And the other thing is like we're working from this photo, but it does not have to be perfect. We're using the photo as reference more than anything. So we have the wall here, and then like the couch is like here, and we're like, kind of in with them. Couch to the wall, couch this way. We're just going to try to gesture. I'm actually going to shrink this because it's easier for my hands to make these kind of like long movements. And we're just going to try to like, it doesn't have to be like perfect perspective. We're just kind of gesturing it in. Just trying to make like a room, Where's like the horizon lines, like here maybe. Something like that, and then we'll do the other way. Horizons here. So we're just kind of like making a grid. I don't know if this totally works, but we'll see. It's been a long time since I drew an interior, so we're gonna see how this goes. So like, I don't know, this is a bit of a mess. We could try it again. No big deal. No harm, no foul. Let's loosen up. Like I said, works better when you're kind of zoomed out. We're going to use a regular brush because it doesn't have that lag to it with the texture. All right. Put the wall here, but we're gonna do. Looks like actually the horizon's like up here somewhere. Maybe a little lower. Okay, and we'll do. Here's that wall. We'll do the opposite down here. This actually looks a little exaggerated. This line got really ridiculous. Oh man, yeah, these lines all got really ridiculous. What if I got better at this? That's the goal. Let's just try again. The reason that I'm like really giving this a shot and like trying to figure this out is because this is going to be the basis of the whole thing. And if we screw up this grid, if the grid doesn't look good, then we kind of screw up the whole thing, you know? So, all right. Horizon. So that's kind of like one perspective line. Let's do the other. I'm just going to shuck and jive on this one. Took me a second to think about it because I'm thinking about the room upside down. Upside down, rotated like some degrees. I think this is like where the wall would be. So it'd be like this. Yeah, okay. All right, all right, all right, all right. Maybe like that. Maybe this one's a little sharper. All right. So this, sorry, I'm like spinning this thing around like crazy. Oh my God. Hand tool, come on. Thank you. So this kind of works. Oh my God. For a grid, like, it's not terrible. It's not perfect, but like, it's good enough. Um, let's fade it. And like, if you're drawing a lot of interiors too, you just make a lot of like grids that are like very precise, and then just have them. You know, just drop them into the uh, like whatever you need. Like, you know, just make like spend the day making like 10 2 point, 10 1 point. Well, I guess you only need 1 point, 10 2 point, like 10 3 point, 10 5 point, or whatever, you know, and then just like drop it in. Like that would be the smart thing to do, but we're not going to do the smart thing. We're going to do the dumb thing. There's a trick to like laying these out too that Daniel Warren Johnson talked about on his stream. Uh, I highly recommend you look that up. I don't remember it offhand. Maybe I will once I do this. Maybe this will get me thinking about it more. I'm gonna put the room here. We're gonna just gesture some stuff in. Like I was doing with that one drawing I did yesterday of the girl. with the noodles, like I kind of like liked just gesturing like stuff in. So I think we're just gonna try to do that. Maybe even no texture, just like use our brush so we can move faster. It's like curtain here. Um, there's like a little pull for the light, and then like this is blacked out, blacked out. I'm gonna put the lamp here. Uh, Painting, and like here's the other thing is like this doesn't have to even be perfect. Like if there's stuff in here that we don't want to draw, we don't have to draw it. Um, Couch. Couch nearly extends the whole way. Put a table here, kind of. Um, One of the things that when I was doing this in art school is I would get caught up in like trying to make all the perspective perfect, that everything looked rulered in and like exactly 90 degrees, and that sucks. Like it looks too stilted, it just looks wrong kind of thing. Um, there's more room in the ceiling, so like this. We can kind of see the bottom of the shelves here, except for like here, and there's a shelf in between. We're gonna do like these shelves here are like taller, joined, and then these are wider, and then this one's a wider one. You can kind of see on like the edge of the photo, like up here, uh, the it's starting to kind of like warp out of the because it's like a wider lens. Um, that's like the cone of vision. If you have problems where it feels like you've plotted all your points and everything looks right, and you're getting in there, and then you're like, why does this look warped? Chances are you're out of the cone of vision. You just gotta like zoom in a little more, and your perspective will be look right. So we're gonna do books. This is like all kinds of books. There's like a weird guy up here. Uh, these like photos, books, books. Is it all books? It's all books. Books are kind of annoying to draw, so we're going to get into those, see how we do. And do a big plant here. Um, More books. More books. More books. These are very well read people. Um, Now I can kind of like gesture in some of the people. I don't know if we're gonna really get into it too much, but uh, luckily they're gonna be pretty small in the composition, so we won't have to get like too specific. But like, they're in there. So this girl's got like her fist to her mouth because she's shocked by what she sees. And then she's got her legs kicked up on like a pillow. She's got her friend here, and they're looking at a phone, mostly obscured by the legs. We got her other friend over here. She's talking with her hands. Ooh, that Steely Dan hitting just right. We're officially reeling in the years. She's got her leg up. And then we got the other friends over here. There's like one right here, one right here. Like ear there. She's looking this way. Short sleeves. She's got her like hand over her lap. And I think that like drawing this kind of stuff too is important because you can kind of like get used to drawing like people in space, you know? Like uh if you're going to like all these people are like overlapping in like weird ways and that's going to happen in comics. So we're going to try to do the best we can. Looks like we're kind of gestured in. This makes sense a little bit. So let's do another fade as we work closer to getting like a kind of finished product here. So let's fade this guy back. And then let's start working in some details, getting in a little closer. This this one's a little on the easier side of perspective, so you know it's not crazy out of control. Like we're not doing any kind of like 5 point or anything like that. Oh, it looks like there's a little. Okay, we're just gonna. I'm trying to think of like the best way to do this. I'm also kind of thinking about gray tones a little bit, just because I kind of want to gesture them in. So we're gonna make one of the ways. This is colorist, not drawing. Of like trying to make a box look right. Is you pick one. You pick one side to be darker than the rest, and that one side will look. It'll make it look boxy. It'll make it look, you know. Is there trim? No, there's no trim. Curtain goes all the way up to the ceiling. We're going to get pretty loose with this. You know, we're just sketching, so. This curtain's white, so even though like all the mark making we did is pretty dark, I'm just gonna lighten it up with some white. And it doesn't, you know, like I was saying before, we're just sketching. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're gonna do like a 50% black here. So this has a little like ledge because we're seeing the bottom of it. So we're just gonna like highlight that in there. We get like kind of the reflection of the curtain here. So we're just gonna, paint it in. It's kind of funny because I'm like doing all this. It feels like almost like digital painting. And I was thinking about this actually the other day after we uh, did that one painting of that girl because I was like, oh, she turned out right. Um, I was thinking about like I always read like uh, digital painting, digital painted comics, and I hate them. I hate like it like never looks right to me in a way that like actual line art does. So like I don't want to go full digital painting, but I think there's like a half step in there that I think could be interesting. Where it's like digital painted, but it doesn't go full overboard. And I would like to get into that space a little bit where you can kind of see hand of the artist. It's a little sketchy. It doesn't look totally digitized. It doesn't look like AI garbage. Like, but it also kind of looks lived in and kind of digital painted, like leans into my strengths kind of thing. I don't know. Just thinking about it, about how we want to experiment. All right, let's do this. Do this lamp. Kind of get the top of it. It's kind of roughly on the bottom. This is a very girl apartment. So the other thing about like why it's important to kind of like practice backgrounds is that the first time you draw Gotham City, and like Gotham City is a character, within Batman, you don't want it to be like the first time you draw a city is like, you book that Batman gig and then it's like you're just gonna kind of gesture in the art on the wall. So you want to be practiced at it. So like this plant back here, this is something I think about as a colorist, where I'm like, an artist will go to great lengths to draw a really nice plant, right? And I'm like, okay, I get the flats, and I'm like, I'm gonna cut a shadow into this. But then I start to realize that like I'm wasting my time cutting a shadow into a very complex object when it would be just easier to paint in, kind of thing. Um, so that's what we're just gonna attempt to do is just paint in this plant and figure out where the highlights and everything go. Had to ban a bot. And this way too, it feels like I'm making this complex object like a little less complex, a little bit, just a little bit. We also want to think about like where the light is, or at least I'm thinking about that. Um, we can add like highlights to it. And I get that this is like not the way to traditionally draw, but I feel like it makes sense to me, and I'm trying to like lean into that when we do this sketching. Um, so yeah, this is like a complex object that we kind of simplified, and it looks pretty good, you know? Doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be the focus anyway. Okay. Let's get this bookshelf in. I'm hoping to do 2 of these. This one's kind of the warm up. Um, Trying to do another one with a little more uh, interesting perspective, maybe. I'll black out the bottom of this shelf. Just trying to get the shape of this thing. So like, this is some mark making that makes sense to me a little bit. Is doing a very like we're putting posts in here, and like we want to make them straight and look good, and like we're doing the same thing over here. But like we can just take a big black mark like that and then shrink it down and then just do 2 little white ones, kind of using like positive negative to kind of like make that like what would normally be a bunch of like straight lines that would you would have to like kind of figure out, and just kind of like goof it a little, you know. Like we don't have to overthink that. We'll do the same thing over here. Although we got the other plant, so this is probably going to get covered up. The people are going to be the challenge of this thing. Like trying to gesture in these people. This one was a little less successful. And I'm not like sweating the perspective on these shelves too bad. Um, feel like a lot of times people will like you know we'll be like, oh, are all the lines straight? Are all the we ruling out the perspective all correctly? And it's like, well, I mean, I don't know if that's the kind of art you want to make. That's fine, but like, I want to just like draw the room, um, and I think that the way that I have fun with that is to do it this way. All right, let's put the actual shelves in. And do them the exact same way. This one's actually going to have like a little bit of a bottom to it. And then this one's going to have a top to it, but it's also covered up by people, so... And books. So we don't really have to, like, really sweat it that much. Looks a little bit like... Okay, this is the thing, is like, you gotta have an eye for this. So, like, this shelf looks like it's leaning up a little on this side, and it's gotta go down. So, we're gonna, yeah, back it up. This looks a little better. I think I just, my hand kicked it up for no reason. That's like the top of the shelf. Okay, let's do the shelves on this side. We're doing the exact same thing. And we can kind of like, pick up the pace a little, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, this bottom one like doesn't go where my hand wants to go. But we'll get there. And like this is the thing is like I like the looseness. I like a weird shape, a little bit of hand of the artist, a little bit of organicness to it, you know? That's why I'm like, like we don't have to really sweat this. We can build it however we want. It doesn't have to be perfect, quote unquote. Okay, shelves are in, kind of, kind of, like a little bit of gray under here, a little bit of gray on top of here, kind of thing. But we're gonna end up tweaking those. Uh, there are shelves in here. I think I'm gonna change them up just a little, just to add a little variety to like the break up the thing a little bit. So we're gonna do these a little lower. A lot of this is gonna get covered up by a plant. We're gonna do these a little lower. Boom, shelves are in. Okay, now we can fill them with collectibles or books. Let's do that. So, books suck to draw. Nobody likes to draw them. We're gonna just like gesture them in because, like I said, they don't um, really matter that much. And kind of like they're like right on the edge, so we can kind of delete some of the edge there a little bit. Make them kind of like fit weird. You know, just kind of control the shape a little bit. There you go. That's a bookshelf. That looks like a bookshelf. Add like some like doodles and stuff in here. It's like the binder. You know, we don't have to get too in the weeds with these, but you know, we want it to have like a little variety to it. We're just gonna fill the bookshelves that way. Sometimes artists talk about, or at least I like to talk about, how sometimes art feels like washing the dishes. That like there's sometimes there's tasks that I'm not gonna sweat down there. That feel like okay, these are all kind of the same height, and then we got more variety. Um, it'll be kind of like washing the dishes in that like these are tasks that I don't necessarily really have to think about. So it's like putting these books on these shelves is kind of one of them. Chat's quiet today. That's fine. We're gonna check on some new number ones that are coming out this week with my buddy Brian after from Brave New Worlds. Um, should be fun. See what's coming out in shops this week because it's Wednesday. Changing some book heights. I'm gonna do some leaning books. Okay, we're populating the shelves. We're gonna get into these eventually, get a little more detail on them. Let's do this plant maybe. Well, we'll work on that in a minute. Let's just finish off these books since we're in that headspace. And you see how like I'm not really, very particular with the mark making that I'm doing here. All right. Add in some details. kind of delete the bottom of the shelf just a little bit, so they when you do that, they look like they're a little more anchored to the bottom there, especially since it's kind of like light objects on this light shelf. Maybe we'll put like a book up here, like on top of the other books, kind of thing. You know, I always end up stacking books on top of bookshelves like that. You know, it's not in the photo, but it's the world I live in. Put just a little bit of shadow under the bookcase here. How long have we been going for? 48 minutes. I've been like dialed into this thing. This is the thing. Textures take, or stuff like this takes a long time. I checked because my album ended. It switched to Asia, also by Steely Dan, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm hitting my Steely Dan limit. I'm gonna put the new Haley Williams on Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party, which feels appropriate for the vibe that we're doing in here with this like girl apartment. I think a lot of the stuff that I got wrapped up in when I was in college and drawing on the regular is that I was like, oh well, it has to look this way. It has to look this way, um, because I was trying to fit myself into a kind of like um, Marvel DC kind of like uh, superhero um, look, a house style, if you will. And I think that was working to my disadvantage because, like, I don't think that I live in that space as far as like drawing goes. Like, I can color in that space. Um, but yeah, so I think that it was working to my disadvantage. I wasn't like leaning into the stuff that I really enjoyed to draw. Um, and because I was like trying to force myself into that space, I wasn't like experimenting. I wasn't thinking about like these bookshelves do not look like, like this is not like Tony Stark's place. But I do think that like they look good and they look interesting and it's like a space that I'm curious about, which is the point of art. To build something that like pulls you in. This last one's sloppy because I'm like, I don't want to do shelves anymore. Let's start doing the couch. All right. We're gonna do the plant really quick. Again, we're gonna do it the same way we did the other plant. Um, just kind of like gesturing in a shape and figuring it out from there. Because this is how you abstract shapes with this kind of thing. We don't have to draw every single leaf. Why would we? It's not the point of this apartment. Think about where the light is. It's over here, so we're gonna. And it communicates plant. Like you see this and you're like, oh, that's an ivy. And we didn't have to like get too insane about it. We could go in and like put in more detail if we wanted, but I mean, do we want to? Maybe we'll put some knickknacks in here. Okay. Noodling on this thing now. All right. Let's work on the couch. So there's a lot of figure work. Because it's a little smaller, we're going to try to. This is like some famous last words shit. Like, clearly, I'm more comfortable up here than I am with the figures, which is why we do a lot of figure work on this channel in the sketchbook. But we're going to try to kind of like gesture in everybody. When you're making comics, the most important things are the head and hands. That's where people look. So we're going to try to kind of like keep that in mind. There's like a hoodie or something on the back of this chair. Oh, you know what, too? I'm going to make the light on. just a little bit. All right, let's get back into the gesturing here. Got an arm. Starting to get like a body going. We'll do the back of the couch here. We'll probably shadow the couch in like a gray. Eventually. All right. So she's kind of like in this recline. She's got her legs up. Here. And then it's kind of funny because so she has like one leg up and like some pillows underneath her. Here. We'll put the edge of the couch. But then she has her friend, like with her, also her leg on top, kind of thing. This is what was kind of tripping me up because I was like, oh, there's like two legs up there, but there's really just kind of like one, and then another person there. And we can kind of gesture that in. This person here. Man, I keep accidentally shuffling this. Yeah, there we go. I think I finally figured it out. Okay. And they're looking at a phone. We're just like really gesturing it in because the details are so scant. And like I talked about this a little bit on the other stream, where you kind of like sometimes you need a to be able to draw at like different distances, and like this is a very low information distance. So like we're I'm, not the best figure drawer ever, but like at this distance, like we don't have to like really nail the hands and just kind of like gesture them in and we're good. Like this arguably is where I live. Low information. I'll put a little shadow in here. Add to the drama a little bit for the plant. Alright, let's get the rest of the corner over here. And we'll put the cushion, and we'll put another thing here for the bed. Let's add a little bit of detail to the phone so it stands out. Add a little highlight in here. Because we're going to have light from the light over there. So let's just kind of embrace how weird it's going to be. But, you know, it's not necessarily in the... My dog is snoring behind us. Not necessarily like in the drawing, but like we're gonna just interpret it. Put a little light in. Maybe even top of the thing. And then, you know, we have the coffee table here. Coffee table's packed with information, but we might leave it pretty empty. She crying in her sleep. Okay, we got another figure here. We got 3 actually. 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna do first one here. And we're working above these books, so we're just gonna delete some of the books. Technically, she's like moved over a little bit more. I mean, we're like really low information here. Even though, like, you can like barely see like characteristics of their face other than like the general shape. General shape. Kind of gesture in the hair. So she has like kind of more hair, but it's like it's just kind of like I don't know. Do we need to get more specific than this? Not really. Maybe. Maybe. Kind of afraid that the more that I noodle on it, the worse it's gonna get, but I don't know. Maybe not. Okay, and then we have her hand is kind of like kind of weird. So we got like wrist, because she's like making a weird shape because she's kind of like picking at her hair a little bit. And then her thumb is on the other side. Yeah. So it's like, and I can also barely see what's going on here. Kind of like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right, let's figure out what we're doing with the body. Let's figure out the other hand, actually. It's kind of the top of the hand. Something like that. Kind of. Put the two middle fingers together. Shrink this guy just a little bit so it looks a little right, more right. She kind of like has it like this, and then okay, let's figure out the shoulders. She's kind of in these like big sweater. This is like kind of a cozy scene. Um, and then she's got her foot up, and then underneath the. Oh man, is that gonna work? Let's think about this for a minute. Figure work. Why even do it? People. Why even draw them? Oh, you ended up ordering a starter Wacom to try. Sorry, I got sucked into this. I wasn't looking at the chat. That's great, Boix. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm glad you're liking how it comes out. Coming out. What kind of Wacom tablet did you get? I assume you said starter, so I assume Intuos or a Bamboo. Intuos. Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's what I started with. Um, my first two tablets were Intuos. I had a really old one in college, and then a a new puppy in the house ate through the cable. And those things are like they're wired in. Um, so there was nothing I could do. I couldn't get like another cable. I had to get like a whole new device. uh, Trying to do more freehand work without cleanup. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, that sounds awesome. Yeah. So then I was like broke, but trying to figure it out. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to get another Intuos because I can't afford a Cintiq. And then I rode that out for like the first like 10, 15 years of my career. And I was like, at that point, it was seriously like a decade. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is going to stick. Maybe I'm going to keep doing comics and art. And maybe I should just invest in my tools professionally, you know? Um, okay. So I was like, oh man, what am I going to do with the rest of her arm and uh, her hand and I was like, how are we gonna draw this? But then I realized that we have another couple of people overlaying on top of this, so I think that's I think this is how we're gonna do it. Um, just overlay another foot on. When in doubt, add a foot. Because we have so many limbs. Yeah, I'm almost like we should just draw the girl on the end and then put the girl in the middle next. I think that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, fun composition because the space is really open. I also uh I like seeing people like lounging in a space naturally. Um I think that's hard for some comic book artists to do sometimes. You know, some are very, very good at it. And you can tell that it's like, oh, these people do some life drawing. And when I think about like what I want to draw and how I want to draw, like I think about that stuff. Like I want to be able to draw like people in a space like comfortable like this. Like couches are squishy so we can kind of like make it a little iffy in the space. Oh, you know what? I don't think this is her. I think this is the middle girl's hand. Oh man. Oh man, we're gonna get. This is what was tripping me up. The other girl is like fixing something in her earring or something over here. So I was like, I can't figure out her shoulder, where her shoulder is and her arm. Now it makes a whole lot more sense. I gotta start counting the hands in the room. Because the middle girl's like talking with her hands. And it's also like, I feel like with this composition too, you have like a lot of bodies layered on top of each other interacting in the space, which is fun. Um, the other thing is like, uh, because they're all overlapping, it's like anatomy, but it's not a focus of anatomy. And like everyone's natural. It's not like we're doing kind of these like muscular. It's not like Thor lifting his hammer, like that kind of thing. I even think maybe we move this in a little. Yeah, and then we can kind of get the back of her. Yeah. We may be interrupted by pest control for the building. We'll see.
Shutting the door.
All right. Shan's shutting the door. Cameo of Bug Guy. Let's clear this space out a little bit so we can get this girl in here. This is kind of a weird shot for the head here. So we're going to try to do the best we can. They gotta get the shrimps out of here. The shrimps are bugs. You're not wrong. If there were shrimp in here, Kelly would be very excited about that. She'd be like, I'm a dog. This is what I'm here for, to get the shrimps out. I don't know if this head works, but it works for now. Because we're kind of coming up on an hour of streaming. She has kind of lighter hair, so we're just going to lighten it up a little. It's also like she's wearing a white shirt, so we could lighten that up a little. I'm rushing through it a little bit now, just because it'd be nice to get it to a place where it looks a little done. Okay, let's put the other girl in now. It's like we had a hand here. I'm just gonna gesture it in. And then her shoulders here. She's kind of like slouched a little. Again, not great at hey Panda. Good to see you back on here. Yeah, thanks, man. Trying to just like do a little drawing. I kind of realized that like this is a weird boob. That's not what I realized. Although I did realize that just now. One of the things I realized is like when I work a lot, I get a little punchy if I don't have days off, and I was like, oh, if I've got to like work every day, I need to find a way to like not be punchy because like I want to coexist with my wonderful wife and not be punchy about work and life and all that. And I keep telling myself I'm going to draw, and I was like, oh well, I'll do it when I have time, and kind of just like whatever. And then I realized that I was like, oh, I'm like slammed for like 6 months. So, or at least the next like 4 months. So I was like, if I'm going to be slammed, I got to like, and work every day, not take a whole lot of time off. I got to like find time off during the day. So I was like, you know what? Non negotiable. I'm just gonna do a little bit of drawing every day for like an hour. I'm just gonna find it. I'm gonna find the time. No matter what. Okay, now we're drawing the other girl's hand. Good positive way to do it. Yeah. Yeah, because I was like, I kept, this is something too that like I've been thinking about lately. Is just like intention and what do I actually want, and especially I feel like I got like sucked into a lot of noise in my life, like kind of just passively being like, oh, I have to be online. Oh, I have to see the news. Oh, I have to, be informed and have an opinion on things and be in the drama. And it's just like, oh, I actually don't have to be in any of that. And then I was thinking about like, well, what do I want? Like, let's make a choice, And I was like, what do I really want? And it's like, I really just want to doodle. Like, and I want to do it without thinking about like if I'm going to make money on it or if it's professional enough or whatever. Just like, just want to draw for the sake of drawing because I love it. And I was like, why don't I just do that? Like, why wouldn't I do that? That's my wheelhouse. That's where I live. That's what I want. Like, why wasn't I doing this? um, and instead, I was just filling my life with like a bunch of bullshit and worry and stuff I couldn't control. And I don't know. I just kind of hit this epiphany where I was like, you know what? We're just gonna get online and do some drawing. Let's try and frame them a little bit like this. We got the coffee table here. Well, we can put some stuff. Let's put some, because they have like, they're like, this is, this is a good girl group. They're cracking open some wine. They got like a Boda box on the uh, table. We're gonna put some cups. Sorry about that. Kelly. Kelly, come here. Come here. Everything's fine. Oh my god. I gotta mute the mic. All right, bug guys have left. Kelly has protected the house successfully. She's still out there woofing. I'm just kind of noodling on this now because it's like mostly done.
Wait, the bug guy reminded me of Ben, our old Philly neighbor. I was like,
Shannon was telling me that the bug guy reminded her of Ben, who was our old neighbor in Philadelphia. He was a fine artist as well. Uh, he would draw on like massive canvases, and they weren't canvases. He actually would do them on drywall, um, because they were so large. Like he would build a frame, do like lay the drywall, and then paint on that. And uh, I don't know if I've talked about him before, but his paintings were like kind of nuts. So he would do that, and he'd do like a bunch of perspective. So I have like 2 point, 3 point perspective. So he would just put a bunch of dots down, right? And then he would use that as perspective on like a scene, and then he would use the same perspective dot on like another scene next to it, and like chain them together. So when you looked at it, it looked like madness. Like you couldn't. There was like depth, but like it didn't make any sense. And then when you walked up to it, and you were close to the painting, you saw all these little scenes like chained together. Um, it was really neat. And the reason that I found out that he was a an artist was because when we had the earthquake that shook the uh, Washington Monument and cracked it. Uh, I grabbed my dog and I ran outside because I didn't know what was going on. I've never been in an earthquake before, and he did the same. And he came out, and then this other guy down the street came out, and he was like, we were like, "Oh my god, what was that?" And then we were like, "Oh, that was an earthquake." And then the guy down the street was like, "Do you guys have jobs?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I color comics." And then my neighbor Ben across the street, who I was just saying does these crazy perspective, he was like, "Oh, I'm a fine artist." And then the guy who was like asking if we had jobs, who was down the street, he was like, "Oh, I draw porn comics." And I was like, "What? Wild." So that's how we all met each other. We're gonna put these quick frame photos up. Anyway, Ben was a cool dude. He is married to this woman, Kat, who is a texture artist, um, and worked at Urban Outfitters. She was like a fiber artist. Worked at the Urban Home Office. I don't know what this thing is that's up here. All right, I'm gonna call this one done. I actually really enjoyed working on this. Um, People in a scene are like fun to draw rather than just like abstracting a space. There's like a million things to noodle on in this. Um, we could try doing like a quick one. How long have we been up? Hour and a half. I just want to keep doodling. Uh, we'll draw some more interiors. Man, yeah, I'm looking at these now and I'm like, I just want to draw all these interiors. Um, I have a bunch pinned, some more challenging than others. Like, let me pick one out that's like looks a little challenging. Like this one looks a little challenging, just because it's got kind of a notched ceiling and it's got three. 3-point? No, just 2-point, but it looks a little more complex. And then I got some that are not quite as complex, like this. It's like Girl in the Kitchen. But like a little bit of perspective. You can catch the VOD. I'm going to start porting them over to YouTube too, Panda. But we're going to save it for now. I'll probably post this drawing on the socials too, because I enjoyed it. However, since it's Wednesday, let me mute my music. Let me bring up YouTube, and let's see what new number ones are going to be arriving today from Brave New Worlds Toys and Games. Give me 1 second here. Let me get the video up. Okay. Okay, I think I've unmuted my thing. So this is Brian. This is Brian. He works at a comic shop called Brave New Worlds in Philadelphia. One of my favorite shops. It's like a little quick 6-minute video since it's Wednesday. Let's find out what the new number ones are. Let's hear from Brian.
Oh, that's how it is. That's wild. Hey everyone! Today is Wednesday the 19th of November. One World Under Doom ends today, which is wild. We have a Black Friday sale coming up on Black Friday, but today is Wednesday. There's a really big book out. So before we get into anything else, it's Wednesday. You know what that means? It's time for comics again. Thank you very much for tuning into Comics Again, the show that enters your feed every Wednesday to tell you all those new number ones. Here comes the big one. Are you ready for it? Here it comes. The big book of the week this week, the one you're waiting for, is the new
Comics are pretty neat.
DC Marvel Batman and Deadpool number one shot. This time it's the DC edition. Batman and Deadpool team up once again. This one written by Grant Morrison, drawn by Dan Mora, and it is fantastic. Check it out. It also comes in multiple flavored covers.
I was wondering if
get
that
in,
stack...
Get them early while you still can.
I was like, is that stack all of the variants?
And tons. And tons. And tons. And tons.
I don't know if they made
more.
enough, to be honest.
And a couple more.
I don't know.
Maybe some more. Oh wait, did you think I was almost done? I'm not almost done. There are tons of covers. Remember when I said tons? There are tons. Yeah, I'm still going.
This is absurd.
And that one's shiny. And I didn't even hold up the blank one because you don't want to look at the blank one. But anyway, Deadpool Batman issue 1, the DC version is here.
There's not
It's got
really
all
that
sorts of
many.
other cool little stories in the back. You're not going to want to miss out on those. The Doctor Strange and Constantine with some Swamp Thing action. Mwah, gotta love it. It's here.
Ooh,
Batman
I do kind of want to read
issue
that.
1. All the covers. Now that we're done going over all those covers for that Batman Deadpool one-shot, let's see what Marvel has to offer for you this week. There's a new Nova book, Nova Centurion. Falling out of the events of Imperial, Nova's got a new mission. If you need him to do a job, you can hire him. Nova. New issue. New series. Nova.
I don't know anything about Nova.
The X-Men from the Age of Apocalypse are back on regular
Oh,
Earth.
that's cool.
From the Age of Apocalypse Earth to cause some trouble for all the X characters. X-Men of Apocalypse issue 1 is here. So figure out what they're doing. It's the Age of Apocalypse. And because it's pretty much the holiday season now, since we're in the literal middle of November, the Spider-Man Holiday Spectacular is here. So get your holiday comics on with this Marvel Holiday Spectacular involving Spider-Man.
I have a soft spot for holiday
Robert Kirkman's
specials.
Other superhero
I think they're
book from
fun.
Image returns. This time it is Capes. Capes is back. Yeah, you love Invincible. You read all that Battle Beast. We'll get back into Capes. It's Capes issue 1, written by Robert Kirkman. Got a cover by Ryan Otley. It's drawn by Mark Englehart. Check it out. Capes is back. It's been out
That
of
looks
print for a
interesting.
while. Also coming
looks
away
interesting.
from Image Comics and Tyler Kirkham comes Final Boss. Some extreme comic book action in the classic Image style. Check it out. It's Final Boss. That sounds pretty great. Oh, there's some explosions happening in there. Yeah, cool. And if that wasn't extreme enough for you, go back to the medieval times with Spawn in Spawn Dark Ages. Look at that. Liam Sharp's got this new Spawn book. He's got a big old axe. Big
That looks
guy.
pretty
Big
cool,
old
actually.
helmet, big old axe.
Liam
Spawn
Sharp,
Dark Ages, issue 1.
I like his stuff.
And for the kiddies, there's a new Mickey Mouse comic book.
It's
Mickey
always
Mouse
really
and Phantom
interesting.
Blot's Double Revenge. Cool. And a new Lion King, Disney's Lion King. So those are 2 number 1s in the Disney world for the kids. Look at that. Hey ho, look at that. Disney Comics.
Could make good gifts. You got kids, you're trying to buy for
I got
Christmas.
1 trade paperback,
Disney
1 graphic
Comics.
novel. There's a hardcover and a paperback version. I'm only going to hold up the paperback, but it's Absolute Martian Manhunter. It's the coolest of the
That
new
I have to
Absolute
get.
books. Yeah, the other ones are great, but this one's doing some stuff that comics can only really do in print form. So check this thing out if you like cool comics. You like weird,
Yes.
mind-bendy, twisty
Yes.
things that aren't necessarily so straightforward as like Big Batman or Wonder Woman Lives in Hell, like that kind of thing.
Okay. Just real quick. Absolute Martian Manhunter is a treat, and if you aren't reading it, you should pick it up. I on a whim bought like the first 3 issues in paperback and like the single issues, and I was like, it smoked my brain. Like, I loved it. So I'm definitely gonna nab this. I might actually put an order in today.
This is a little bit weirder, a little bit out there, and the art is crazy. So check it out. Absolute Martian Manhunter, Volume 1. It's issues 1 through 6 coming your way in paperback form for $17.99, and the hardcover's more than that. I just don't have it in my hand to tell you the price. Absolute Martian Manhunter, Volume 1.
I'm gonna nab the hardcover if I can find it.
All right, that is it for me today. Thank you very much for tuning into Comics again.
A light week.
All of these comics that I just spoke to you about are available in store and online at bravenewworldscomics.com. You
There
can
you go.
shop there from home. Anytime, really. Just about any time. As I mentioned earlier, there is a Black Friday sale happening at both Brave New Worlds Comics on Friday, November 28th. Both stores are participating. It is only Friday, so after you've filled up on turkey or turkey-related substitute, come on in on Friday the 28th of November and get all of the comics stuff you wanted. Anything I
Well,
mentioned in
Absolute
this
Martian
video that's
Manhunter
still
right
on
there.
the shelf, anything that is on the shelf that you've been looking at, graphic novels, anything, back issues.
All right, we're gonna call it there. Anyway, yeah, Brave New Worlds. One of my favorite shops. Used to go to their shop in Old City in Philadelphia when I lived there, and yeah, one of my favorite. Not that light if you count every Batman Deadpool variant. Yeah, true. I'm absolutely gonna nab that. I might throw that Batman Deadpool variant in there because he said that there's a Swamp Thing Strange story, and I'm like, all right, maybe you got me. You got me. But I'm gonna try to nab that, and then the Absolute Martian Manhunter too. Man, so there's something in there that like I don't want to spoil for you because it fucking rules, but like it kind of works best as in a single issue in a way than I think it would in a bound thing, because you have to like put the pages up to the light in a way. It's very strange. It's very strange, very cool, and something I've never seen comics do before. So if you get it and you like it and you're like, oh, I might want to pick up some singles. Yeah, I would definitely also pick up some singles. That book just rules. I don't know. Anyway, comics are great. Thanks for hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Thursday? Tomorrow's Thursday? Yeah, Thursday the 20th. So maybe we'll do some more interiors. Since we did 2 days of figure drawing, we'll do 2 days of interiors. And then Friday, I think we're going to do some like no reference Friday, like just doodling. So look forward to that. And I will see you next time. Thanks for hanging out.